Today we're going to talk about defending and protecting the body against body shots. Guys, welcome back to the channel. If you've already been watching our videos, I just want to say, really appreciate the cool community that is forming around this channel. I'm getting some awesome questions, some good feedback, some good opinions. Of course, we have some crazy people too, but that's okay. That's all part of the game. If you're brand new, welcome. Glad that you're here. My name is Alan Branch. I created this program, Glove Up, as a result of 25 years of one-on-one training with the legendary kickboxing champion, Joe Louis. So Joe Louis set every record there was to set. He coined the term kickboxing, won the first ever world heavyweight kickboxing champion. He was a student of a guy you probably heard of, Bruce Lee, but he was also a man with a genius IQ. He really was super smart in his breakdown of fighting, and he wasn't undefeated with every fight that he had, but he did one thing. He always, no matter what, left an impression. So even though he did have an amazing record and he set more records than anybody pretty much in the history of martial arts, it was his tenacity, ferociousness that really made him stand out. And then later in his life, he was just a phenomenal instructor. And I was fortunate to have that passed on to me. On this channel, my goal is to pass that on to you. So when I learned boxing, kickboxing, and martial arts, the first thing that I wanted to do was to test it, right? So to test it, I started looking. I didn't have any money. I was on my own. I left home when I was 15 and kind of grew up on my own like that and didn't really have any funds. So I was pretty much training myself, trying to learn what I could. There was no YouTube then, so you couldn't just log on and pick up some stuff from a coach. It was go around to boxing gyms, try to find people who knew and sort of piece it together. Once I got there, I, again, wanted to test it. So my first avenue to test was in the original version of what was called the Tough Man Contest. So back then, the Tough Man Contest wasn't really regulated so much. Anybody could enter. So you could be a pro, you could be whatever street fighter, there was no drug test. I mean, it was just kind of a melee. So I entered Tough Man Contest. I won my first several fights. It took a little while before I won an entire event because honestly, I was scared and I chickened out a couple of times for the second night because I didn't think I had any business being there. But then I realized, hey, you know, I've been in these fights. Nobody's hurt me. Nobody's knocked me out. Nobody has sat me down. Maybe I've got something working here. And then I met Joe Louis and of course refined my skills, and there wasn't any more chickening out after that. He'd have killed me and then began to win. We ended up with I had a 38-2 fight record in Tough Man, Bad Man Contest, Sport Jiu-Jitsu, lots of different avenues. I got to train and spar with some really good world champions in kickboxing and of course with Joe Louis himself. And then I went on to teach that. So my guys ended up, my amateurs had a 122-10 record. And then in the pros and boxing, we were 26-2 and went really well. So we have a structure, a system of how we teach things. It's the way we do it. You may or may not disagree. I'm just glad you're here. If you have any ideas, I'd love for you to comment down below. Today, my topic is discussing defending the body shot. So here's what I think is a problem. If you've got somebody who really knows how to rip at your body, the tendency is, of course, to shell, right? And once you're shelled up, you can defend, but a bad place to be is shelled up standing directly in front of a man. So we don't want to be aligned right in front of somebody, especially if we're in tight in the pocket. So in that tight clinch. So let's back up a second from that shell. So before somebody can throw a punch at you, there is one thing they must do. They have to approach you, right? And that approach could look like, you know, somebody running at you and throwing. They could be working their way in behind a jab. They could be snaking their head and working their way inside, but they must approach you. So your initial stance, what we call your position, must be strong. So if your position is strong, it's hard to attack you. So when a position looks like this, forearms are vertical, they're straight up and down, and I've got them pulled in relatively close to the body. It's not difficult to turn and check those punches coming in because the position started out strong. Let's see if we can find a little layer of your position that might not be as strong that we could clean up. This one is something we call the pyramid, all right? So a pyramid should be in Egypt, right? Big triangular thing that we don't know how it was built. We're gonna not want a pyramid motion with the forearms and the elbows. So if you look at a lot of fighters, maybe examine some tapes of yourself or shadow box, take a look in the mirror, see if you're doing this. So you'll get a little tired or you're not thinking and your hands will rest a little bit together and the elbows begin to flare out. As they flare out, you expose what we call the triangle. So the triangle is if you put your finger in your belly button and you go 2-3 inches to the right or the left, 2-3 inches to the top, there's a triangle area that you cannot defend without exposing your head. You can't defend all three areas. Like I can defend this side, I can defend this side. I can turn sideways and maybe try to defend the top, but either way, no matter how I turn, the triangle is exposed. That's part of the science of boxing, right? You can change your level to duck down, you rotate, you have short little 2-3 inch hip motions to bring the elbow across so that you don't reach to block, which gets you in all kinds of trouble. That we know we have to do. What we want to avoid is making it way harder on ourselves by exposing wider angles of that triangle, that body attack, by letting the elbows flare out. Now, keep in mind, hey guys, I get a lot of great comments from you, okay? But I get a lot of other people that make some comments. I'm like, guys, think this through before you start slamming the concepts of what I'm trying to teach you. The idea is to form a framework of thought to help you learn how to improve your own personal position. Your position is your stance. One of your top rules of combat is you don't attack somebody while their position is strong. Well, in reverse, I want my position to be as strong as I can so that I can, one, ward off your attack, and two, be in a better position to where I could counter you when that time is right. Presenting a triangle with your stance as it relates to the body as a target opens up, exposes the midsection, weakens your position, and requires you to have to make bigger movements with the arms or the hips to guard the body. So if somebody shoots a good jab and then sits down underneath you, and you tend to have your hands up high, you've got a guy that's locked and loaded down on your left or right side, ready to fire that body punch. Well, if your elbows are out, you're going to have to make a big motion to collapse that in. Well, he jabs and sets, he's underneath, rips the body, and then starts coming up the middle or coming over the top. You're in a tough spot, man, because of the position you started in. You started in a position where a triangular approach with the elbows exposed the body. So a good sharpshooter who knows how to attack your midsection is going to collapse your defense because your hands have to come in or down or over rotate to defend your body. So solution to this, when you're drilling, shadow box, bag, working with a partner, doing mitt drills, whatever it is that you're doing, you want to focus on keeping the forearms vertical and being present-minded that we're not developing a habit of letting the elbows pyramid out, right? They say straight up and down. Now I can practice checking a punch. I can rotate the hip a little and check a straight shot at the body. I can tuck, crunch down to defend the body shots on the other side. And I just learned to do that in such a way that I don't throw my hands all over the place, let my defense get collapsed or spooked when somebody really puts pressure on me, especially on a body attack. Hopefully this helps you understand what the pyramid is, why it's important to keep the forearms vertical, and this is whatever stance or style that you have. Even if you were some kind of one hand up, one hand down, this forearm is going to have to be vertical. And then if I'm shelling it inside, it's a different style, right? And there are other styles other than mine, for sure. The difference is we want to form a foundation of your style from a certain point and let you, okay, we know this works, right? We know, and we can learn it and we can develop it. And then when you get a little more comfortable, you can start to play with different types of styles. For me personally, when I spar, I play with all of them. So I may be kind of orthodox boxing, go one hand up, one hand down, sometimes a little bit of a crab defense, might step back into almost a little tie stance before I throw a kick. I like to be able to use them all to make it more difficult to read what I'm trying to do. Hey, I hope this helps, guys. Sorry I get a little long-winded on some of this because I absolutely love it. It's fun. It's great to know I'm in Wilmington, North Carolina. So if you're anywhere near the area or you want to chat with me, I put my contact information in the description. Would love to hear from you wherever you are, whatever your style is. And if we're close by, we'll get together for a good workout. Guys, again, I'm Alan Branch. This is the Glove Up channel. I appreciate you watching. And our tagline at the end of every video is, I want you to remember, keep your hands up, keep your chin down. Remember to thank God every day that you have the strength to do one more round. See you next time.